Hello and welcome to Pearls of the Round Table, Dialectics After Dark. This is February. Is it February?
It is February.
Damn. All right. Oh, it says right there.
This nightmarish year.
There were so many months in January. It's terrible.
I know the feeling.
No, so this is Dialectics After Dark. This is our patron bonus episode where we're gonna read some fake news and respond to it, and then we're gonna answer some of your questions, and then we're gonna talk to a couple of you live on the air.
This episode sponsored by Texas Pete, the hot sauce of choice of
Texas
Kamala
Joe.
Harris.
Kamala Harris.
Texas what?
Would you call it Texas Joe?
Yeah. Tonight we got the usual crew, I think. Introduce yourselves and your beverages.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm Jeremy, and I'm drinking Moosehead Canadian Lager, which is all I drink right now is lagers on these episodes because otherwise I get too wild.
We have to get him to keep his shirt on and everything. It's awesome.
His sweater.
Yeah,
It's a
He's
sweatshirt.
getting red, mad, and nude every time.
This is Ezra. I'm drinking Peach Tranquility hot tea.
Very nice.
This is Taylor, and I've got a mixed pack of free New Image beers that I got from my job, and then
You're drinking right now.
Yeah, and then I got some Genesee too. That'll be later once I'm a little more toasty.
No, but what are you drinking right now?
Oh, right now, no, it's a beer from New Image. It's Coriolis Effect. It's
There we
a
go.
New Zealand style IPA.
Yep, I had one of those a few episodes ago, probably like 3 or 4 months ago. All right, and I am having Heyday Modern IPA by Great Divide. Let me really try it. Pretty tasty.
Yep, it's beer.
Yeah, and I only like IPAs and sours are too expensive, so I just get high alcohol IPAs. Rest in peace.
We need a second Patreon for
Funding
that
beer.
we actually dip into instead of saving it all for our
True.
party.
Can't pay bills. Got plenty of money with Pearls though.
Yeah. And then I'm Ethan. I'll be reading your headlines tonight, and I'm drinking a quart of Victoria. I was looking. I wanted smaller than or bigger than a normal bottle, but they didn't have like all they had was this giant ass fucking quart of. Yeah, it's good though. It's a Mexican lager. It's pretty good. So God, yeah, it feels like forever since we've done this, but we got some bangers in the various papers of records. So buckle up. All right, let's see what we got here. I'm on the New York Times.
What's the name of the segment?
Oh, that's right. So we've taken to calling this segment The Pick because we're what is it? I can never fucking remember why we called it this.
It was
like hot takes straight to the dome or something.
Oh, that's right.
It was a Trotsky reference.
Well, of course, but I just
it was a beep reference.
I'll beat me. Yikes. All right. Well, let's see. What do we have?
We have a lot of things that we just kind of have gotten into a routine with, and we call them certain things. And we're just like, I don't know if we should still call it that. But it's just we've done it for so long.
Let's see. Don't let sex distract you from the revolution. The anti-horny left.
Yes.
Yes.
This take is probably the least hot thing. That we
This is
endorsed by Pearls Pod.
This is by Nona Willis Aronowitz. Maybe the second wave celibates were onto something.
Damn.
I'm concerned, but let's see here.
Yeah.
Ezra, get up on that microphone.
It's
Well, I wasn't gonna say anything. I just made noises.
Exactly.
in
Real. Okay.
in How to Date Men When You Hate Men.
Whoa.
Blythe Roberson's hilarious new book about classic straight women's paradox of wanting to smooch her systemic oppressor.
Jesus Christ.
There's a description of a situation familiar to many of us. The author likes a guy, but she can't tell if he likes her back. After months of mixed messages, she realizes her infatuation has had political consequences. Instead of focusing on the intersectional socialist matriarchal revolution, Miss Roberson writes, I've been focusing on whether or not what just happened was a date. Okay, so this is mostly a book review. The author of this article is Nona Willis Aronowitz.
I mean, so far, totally back this take.
Sure. She is an everywoman, not a radical separatist, but her observations strike me as uncanny echoes of the second wave's militant political celibates. a small but influential feminist sect that formed during another time when the pervasive perils of patriarchy, wow, pervasive perils of patriarchy, nice, were laid bare. I've always thought that sexual repression equals bad outcomes for women. Still, these radicals made compelling arguments about the destructive, distracting, frankly, dangerous power of romance. All right, what's going on here?
Give me that final conclusion.
I'll just
Give
go
me
to
that- give me
we'll go
that
to the
take-
end
Give me
here.
that ending take.
So I'll jump to the end here. But even if straight women didn't abandon their male lovers, and most didn't, the ability to feel anger toward men was edifying for the movement. For many women, writes Judith Levine in her 1992 book, My Enemy, My Love, quote, man-hating was necessary, liberating, and productive, and anyway irrepressible, end quote. Sometimes I wish I could conjure that unadulterated anger without worrying whether men find me palatable or sexy. How exhilarating would that be to free up real estate in my brain? At one point in her book, Miss Robertson quotes Roland Barthes, a frequent muse of hers, on infatuation's pain and ecstasy. Love has made him into a social catastrophe to his delight. Sometimes it's okay to be a social catastrophe, to make decisions according to a seemingly uncontrollable force rather than strict societal rules. Other times it pays to let logic and strategy prevail. I won't be swearing off sex anytime soon, but as I battle this latest iteration of private and public misogyny, I'll be channeling the focused rage of the celibates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I feel like this conversation ties into one I've had with A-Hop before, in which, I mean, like, in the set, no, it's just like, he was like,
Because
asking
8-Hop is the horny left.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's because he's the horny. But he was just asking questions like, can a straight relationship, like, with a woman and a man be, I don't know, revolutionary, like, or something like that? And I was like, no. Like, I'm not, like, but it's just, like, there has to be a lot of communicating and talking, like, and I'm not trying to, like, talk shit about straight culture, but also it's just, like, I don't know, I don't think that you can take away that kind of hierarchy with it, but I'm also not going to tell people to not do things.
Sure.
Right.
You know, but it's just like, I also think that the second wave was kind of painful and kind of bullshit, because it's taking everyone's individual choices and making it bigger, like you're going to make any impact with, like, you not sleeping with one guy or not doing something with the other person. That's just your choice. You have to realize that people will oftentimes take advantage of you, or they won't, but you have to see how they communicate with that. It's love is a battlefield.
Deep.
Nice. Okay. Is eating deli meats really that bad for you?
In God's
I'm not gonna
name.
read this. That's funny.
Ethan trying to push his ideology out.
No, this is questioning. They're saying eating deli meats is actually good for you.
I hope
Are they
so.
really?
Well, that's the question. That's what the article's about.
I'm
not
sorry.
gonna read
Have you
Whenever-
ever had a Reuben? Because let's be honest.
True,
Let's
true.
just be honest.
But there's that rule, like whenever there's a question mark in a,
The answer is
in a-
no.
the answer is always no.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. We gotta actually find something like.
I thought you said you had some real spicy stuff.
I do. I'm just saving it.
Oh
Jelly
man.
meat.
Jel-
saving it.
Jelly meats,
Jelly
a
meat
really
takes.
lukewarm review of a book about second wave feminism. Like, we're really off to a great start here.
Mm-hmm. All right, Taylor.
Oh.
Alita Battle Angel review. Do female cyborgs dream of breasts?
Oh Lord.
Oh.
Fuck.
God.
Too much enjoyment out of that take, Ethan.
No, just the title was funny. Okay. No, fuck. Where was it? I was reading one earlier that I was like, oh, I can't wait to hit him with this.
So speaking of
Here it
like,
is, here it is.
oh,
Oh, no, go
all right.
ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of female cyborgs, it just feels like a take like that needs some kind of like Scarlett Johansson joke about like playing a female cyborg that's not a boring white woman. But that was just a more.
The
of like
movie
a-
looks fucking weird.
It looks awful, and also it reminds me of, again, Scarlett Johansson playing a Japanese cyborg in Ghost in the Shell
Not great.
live action, which is just like
Major Kusanagi is a white name, okay?
they don't actually explicitly state her cyborg ethnicity in
Exactly.
the anime, so it
So-
could be Scarlett Johansson. Who knows?
All right, here we go. Shopping in Pyongyang and Other Adventures in North Korean Capitalism by
What?
Travis Jeppesen.
Just because you have a shopping ball doesn't.
All right. Also,
Jesus Christ.
I think like this always needs to be brought up whenever somebody says North Korea, but like not saying the DPRK,
Yeah.
like not calling it by the title of the country,
Yeah.
is Orientalist bullshit. So fuck off.
The subtitle, far from the stereotype of total economic isolation, the black market has brought a surprising degree of modernity and consumerism for some.
Dun dun dun.
Okay, so here's how this starts. One night in Pyongyang, around 9 p.m., my North Korean minder, S,
Minder.
and I pulled into the empty parking lot of the Chongryu restaurant on the quiet banks of the Potong River. It was the spring of 2017, and though I didn't know it at the time, I was among the last Americans to visit North Korea before a travel ban took effect. It was my 5th trip in 5 years to the country, whose supposed impenetrability to American visitors had spurred me to visit as often as possible.
Edgy.
On my first 3 visits, I traveled as an ordinary tourist, which was surprisingly easy to do, albeit in a highly monitored, regimented fashion. Then, in the summer of 2016, I enrolled in a month-long immersive Korean language program at Kim Hyung-jik University of Education. Now I was back in the country to take an additional 2 weeks of language classes by day while covertly making further notes for a book in my hotel room at night.
Jesus.
Oh, this is totally real. Like this actually happened.
This
Yeah.
is long. I don't want to read all this. I'm trying
Get to the end.
Skip to the end.
Well, no, I gotta figure out what it's about first.
Have you ever gutted a book?
What?
Gutted a book?
No.
You read the first sentence in the
Oh.
paragraph, the last sentence of the paragraph.
That's more challenging for me, honestly. Having to, like, for some reason, my brain just like is.
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah.
But like when you've got to read 80 pages in a night, sacrifices must be made.
Senior thesis mood.
Senior thesis mood. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, let's see here. Across the otherwise vacant parking lot, about a dozen figures were shuttling between the back of an open truck and the river, removing what appeared to be solar panels and carrying them to float upon the flaccid waters. I'd begun to
What?
notice solar panels.
Did you say flaccid
Sorry,
waters?
it said placid.
Oh God.
Freudian slip.
Ew, flaccid waters.
Placid waters. I had begun to notice.
Things Ethan will never live down.
I had begun to notice solar panels on apartment balconies throughout the city, a convenient solution to the country's electricity shortages for those who can afford it. I knew that placing them in
Jesus.
water was a way to cool them off, but owing to the great quantity here, it almost seemed as if the panels were being set afloat in a form of display, as if they were merchandise for sale. As I wondered what exactly I was seeing, P shrieked out to her fellow Koreans, Jangmadang, Jangmadang. And so he says, they had forgotten for a moment I was a language student. This is one word I was not supposed to know. So usually translated as market grounds, Jangmadang was the word for the unofficial markets that emerged during the Arduous March, which is the regime's official name for the famine that blighted the country throughout the middle to late 1990s. These were illegal markets to begin with that sprang up as a result of the collapse of the public food distribution system that all North Koreans had previously relied on for their monthly rations. During the later years of Kim Jong-il's reign, the government began to grudgingly accept their existence and took steps towards regulating them, charging rent for stalls. So
Grudgingly.
it's considered taboo to discuss the Jangmadang with foreigners, which is a shame because its rise is arguably the most significant milestone in North Korea's recent history. It lies at the root of all the country's economic development over the past few years.
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
They might not be permitted to speak about it with outsiders, but North Koreans are no longer shy about flaunting their consumption habits, as anyone who has witnessed the displays on the streets of Pyongyang. Is it Pyongyang or Pyongyang?
Pyongyang is what I've always
Pyongyang.
heard. But
Okay.
yeah, Pyongyang.
Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to find. Okay.
What? I just
The
like, as an
arduous-
aside, like what is it? I mean, I feel like the answer is probably pretty like obvious, but like, what is it with like Western analysis of just things is so fucked up? Like,
Where
it's
do
like,
you start?
Oh, well, I mean, like there's these underground capitalist markets, like the black market, that's actually like pushing this economic development within this country.
It's not even a black market. They just said that
Well-
it's been regulated and taxed.
Right, but that's the thing is like where does this fuckhead get off, and like how is it that he's like, is it willful ignorance at this point, or are people
No.
just like just fucking?
I mean,
The New York Times pays this motherfucker like hundreds of thousands of dollars to write this, and he's going to write a book, and he's going to make millions
but
of
it's
dollars.
just fucking drivel, like.
Yep.
but it's the
But
dribble
no,
that
most
you want to
people
hear.
are gonna eat this up
Yeah.
because
But
no,
that's the
because when
thing.
you read this, it humanizes the people,
Right.
like makes it seem more complex, and so people are gonna be like, oh wow, this
Well,
is really interesting.
But like there's no quantifiable like we can't actually hold this dude to account, right? Like he's like, "Oh, I was here doing these things and these things happened and like this market happened." But nobody's going to go in and find the people that he was hanging out with and be like, "Hey, did this happen?" Because they would probably be like, "Fuck no, it didn't." Like this guy's just making shit up. But I mean, and I guess at the same time this comes back to a point that we've talked about I think multiple times, but most importantly during the history of history episode, like we talk about these things and people are like, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Like you think they're awesome and like everything's going great there." But then like people will just lap this shit up. Like where this
So-
dude's just making
so
shit
I'm gonna
up.
read
It's
a
just making- this
I'm
is
gonna
fake.
read a
This
I'm
is
gonna
so
read
fake.
I'm gonna read a paragraph.
I'm just
and
mad. This is fake.
I'm gonna read a paragraph, and I'm very fascinated to see if
You can tell
there's
Taylor's been drinking.
what's
all
going
day.
on here. At birth, every North Korean citizen is assigned a classification that is kept secret from them.
Oh,
This system is
no.
called Songbun, and within it there are three main categories: loyal, wavering, and hostile,
At birth.
At birth.
and 51 subcategories that serve as qualifiers.
Oh,
The assignation of Songbun is meant to be the chief factor in determining the extent of a citizen's lifelong
Get
opportunity.
the fuck
It is
out of here.
familial, based on what your parents,
He just watched
grandparents, or
Orville
great
and then, like,
grandparents were up to during the
wrote
years.
this article.
You know what is an actual thing, like factor that determines your lifelong opportunity that's familial?
How much fucking money
How
you've
much
got?
fucking money
Yeah.
your parents and
Yeah.
exactly, and your
Fuck this
grandparents
guy.
had.
You're,
Yeah.
you're assigned your status as loyal, wavering, or whatever the fuck the
Get
other one was
Fuck out.
here in the United States based on what
Ugh.
income bracket your parents are in.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, haven't you seen that there's this cult of personality behind, the dynasty of the Kims?
Right, right. Yeah.
And because they're always the ones that are in power, there's something there that these
Yeah.
people don't
that's
know
why,
what
that's why
they're
no one in the
doing.
world gives a shit about Chelsea Clinton or what she's doing because the United States doesn't have dynasties in which we care about.
There were two presidents, shared the same last name, family. Bush.
Oh.
Okay,
Also, Roosevelt.
yeah. I mean, fuck.
I was hoping
So-
you would say, "Let's not be around the bush." And then,
Oh,
then you would say,
That's your
Oh.
line. That's your
Keep
line.
that-
Fuck.
All right, no,
well,
let me
we can
keep that in
Let me
retake.
finish this up. So he says the question, like this is near the end. The question remains whether the monolithic North Korean political system can
Christ.
survive the disruptive force that a market economy poses. The key to the equation might be the donju, which are which he translates as money masters, who have made themselves an integral part of a complex financial system. Given the paucity of hard data released by North Korea, it is difficult to gauge just how many belong to this rising economic class. One thing is clear, however. Just as Kim has come to rely on the Donju rely on the survival of Kim's regime. Let's see.
What?
The Russian-born North Korean studies scholar Andrei Lankov believes that, unlike the middle classes whose discontent within the system played such a pivotal role in the Soviet Union's downfall, the Donju fear that the collapse of the North Korean government and subsequent reunification of the Korean peninsula would mean having to compete with the global economic behemoths of South Korea, leaving the Northerners with second-class status or worse. Where has that happened before?
I don't know. Was it the GDR?
Anyway, yeah. So this is a very long. I'll have to go back and read this. It's a very long thing talking about how like I don't know. So it's I mean it's just really interesting because I feel like recently in the past few weeks or months, I mean I guess the past like year, there's been a lot more attention paid to like what's actually happening in the DPRK because of Trump, because of the various political things that have been happening there, and so people are interested in what's going on in a more like beyond like, oh, they're gonna drop a nuke on us, so
I mean, this fuck said monolithic Korean government or whatever.
regime.
Political
regime.
force. I think,
But
yeah.
didn't we learn there were 9 separate political parties active in the
No, it's just Kim
Governing
Jong
body.
Un. He's the dictator.
of the
He's the
DPRK?
dictator.
reign
That's what this says.
Of Kim Jong Un.
the reign of Kim Jong
Fuck
Un?
off.
The the DPRK has more active political parties in their Congress than the United States. Monolithic.
All right, so so I got one more from the New York Times. This is from friend of the show, Brett Stevens.
Fuck, Brett
Ew.
Stevens.
Is Nancy Pelosi a
No.
climate skeptic?
For real? Fuck.
So here's the first paragraph. Is Nancy Pelosi a climate skeptic? Of course not. And I would know. And
The question is always no.
So
We have to
apparently-
say-
the and I would know part is a link to an article on ecowatch.com, which is calling out Brett Stevens' first article in the New York Times, which was talking about like climate science isn't really as it's not as sure as we think it is. So he's saying, so here's the thing. Here's the weird thing about this article is that he's going to say some things that will be like, oh, all right. But then he's a fuck. So he says, but you might be excused for thinking so, giving the curt wave off the House Speaker delivered to the liberally ballyhooed, legislatively stillborn Green New Deal.
Which is also fucked.
Well,
like, not.
yeah, we'll get there. We'll
Yeah.
get there. The Green Dream, or whatever they call it, nobody knows what it is, but they're for it, right? That's a quote. That was Pelosi talking about the deal as if it were a grandchild's latest video game obsession. The San Francisco Democrat
Mega
is
Man 11.
nothing if not a political realist, and that kind of realism means that no Congress is going to mobilize the country to fight climate change as if it were an alien invasion, as my colleague Farhad Manjoo recently suggested. I haven't read that article, but like I would agree with that. Like that's the kind of mobilization that climate change, but capitalism does not allow it. So anyway, okay. Higher mileage standards, more subsidies for wind and solar, signing the Paris. What did I say? Climate?
Climus.
Fuck.
I guess it's better than flaccid.
That's
Oh,
that's
stop.
the
Wait, look it up.
it's the exclusively global warming themed Primus cover band.
Climus is what
Nice.
it-
Climus.
Okay.
Nancy was a climate denialist.
All right. Higher mileage standards, more subsidies for wind and solar, signing the Paris climate deal. Those are the sorts of policies Nancy Pelosi believes in and would happily endorse if stars align under a future Democratic president. But obtaining 100% of America's power needs through renewable energy, quote, upgrading all existing buildings in the United States, unquote, to meet maximal efficiency standards and dealing with the issue of cow flatulence by reducing meat consumption as the Green New Deal proposes, forget about it. Literally,
Oh
it's
my God.
literally he writes
Jesus.
FUHG, forget about it.
Ugh.
Okay. And then he said, "Oh, fuck." He called us out here. All right.
Oh, here we go.
Then again, if climate
Pearls
change
Pod called out by Brett
well,
Smith.
not to, yeah. Then again, if climate change is a potentially humanity-wrecking event, why shouldn't we treat it as an alien invasion equivalent? Good
Why
question,
shouldn't
Brett.
we?
Let's
Brett?
assume the most dire predictions are right, and we don't have a moment to lose in substantially decarbonizing the global economy, no matter what the financial cost or political pain. In that case, isn't Pelosi's incrementalist approach to climate absurdly inadequate?
Yes.
Yes,
yeah,
Brad,
no
yes.
fucking shit.
Isn't it, in fact, like trying to put out a forest fire with a plant mister?
Yes.
Yes.
Marxists of old, like,
Of old.
of old,
Spelled
like
AULD.
We right here. We right here, Brett.
ye old Marxists. Marxists of old like to talk about the fundamental contradictions of capitalism. I'm here in 2019, and we are still talking about the contradictions of capitalism. Fuck you,
Marxists
Sorry.
of now.
Marxists of now. Talk about the
Marxism new.
Ye old
Yes.
proles of the round
New-
table.
Today, we
Knew
should
of
also reckon with the contradictions of climate policy. Today,
Yes.
are we dealing with a problem so severe that it requires the political and economic equivalent of war socialism?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need a new climate policy. Or should we think of climate change roughly the same way we think about global poverty? A serious problem we can
Something you're
work,
not going to fucking do anything about?
a serious problem we can work patiently to solve without resort to extreme measures like ending capitalism
Literally kill yourself.
or depriving
Literally.
depriving
Rest easy.
equally serious priorities of the attention they deserve.
Brett,
I
come
want to
on, Proles
die
Pod.
after hearing this article.
Holy shit.
No, I'm gonna see what these priorities are.
Ye old Marxists. This is great.
So he's basically saying like, so it's wild because he's like, he says this thing. If it's the former, then another windmill subsidy or carbon trading scheme won't do. We need to take extreme measures to declare a national emergency, strictly ration every citizen's carbon footprint,
Yes.
raise taxes on the rich and middle class alike to fund trillions of dollars in green infrastructure projects worldwide, and even impose economic sanctions on China and India if they don't stop building new coal plants.
Oh.
As long as we import our capital here, as long as we import our production here, and do the same thing here.
If the latter, however,
all we do in this country is export all of our
Production
labor
elsewhere.
and as well as like especially stuff that creates waste to other countries.
well, that's
so
the
that
thing. We outsource our waste. Like there was an
Exactly,
article there was a big story
let's
last year.
not
Like
punish China for
China's
that. Let's
creating
pay-
this
yeah,
massive
exactly.
waste problem,
Let's
and it's
pay
like no,
China
it's
for that problem.
China
Yep.
doesn't want to accept our fucking waste anymore. All right.
Yeah, let's pay China for that problem.
So if the latter, however, then can we at least end the apocalyptic talk, especially since we aren't prepared to take more than piecemeal steps?
I'm prepared to take more
Hey,
than piecemeal steps.
Because we aren't willing to take the difficult steps, can we please stop talking about the problem as it exists? Is what he just said. That's
Yeah,
literally what he
Yep.
fucking just said.
No. So basically, what this guy is saying is that
I predicted this months ago, by the way. I said liberals were going to start being climate
Brett-
change deniers.
I mean, yeah, he's a right-leaning liberal, but yeah,
It's going to happen.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Nancy Pelosi
absolutely.
will come out and say,
Oh
that,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not sure that.
Climate change means change, not doom. It shouldn't be hard to make the
Oh,
case.
Fuck
Fuck
you.
It shouldn't be hard to make the case, even to conservatives, for large-scale investments in climate resilience, such as better coastal defenses.
You won't even admit that you need to
It
do this
shouldn't
shit.
be hard either to make the case, even to liberals, that dynamic market economies are essential for creating the kind of wealth that makes
Oh, fuck
environmental
off.
protections affordable, along with the innovations that make environmental fixes possible. Pelosi's this is the last paragraph. Pelosi's seal clap sealed the fate of the green.
Wait, is it that one? Hashtag
Which,
resistance.
By the way, she said, "No, I wasn't
Exactly.
being ironic. I was actually like, I think that was
Legitimately
great what,
clapping.
I just
what
be
the president
looking like
said."
that.
The
I
Dems
just don't
got,
know how
like,
to.
The Dems got so excited about that. They were like, "Yeah, she
I
said it. Oh my
know,
god,
so many-
she resists so hard."
And then yeah, and then
And
like
then
the
she's like,
next
"No, that
day
was
she
a
was like,
sincere
"No, that was
clap."
unironic. That was serious."
I
No,
just
so
have
here's the
this
last thing.
face. This is
So-
what my face looks like.
It's be like that.
So Pelosi's
Happy.
seal clap sealed the fate of the Green New Deal. Now it's time to move climate policy beyond impractical radicalism and feckless virtue signaling to something that can achieve a plausible, positive, and bipartisan result. To quote Jeremy-
I want to die.
Fucking kill yourself.
I want to die.
I mean, that's the thing, is that like this is the kind of like, oh well, both sides centrism that like is going to have
gonna
us all
kill us.
drowning in blood-stained
Yeah,
seawater.
he said. He
in-
said.
No, we'll boil it in our own human meatbag
That's
bodies
true.
before
That's the
anything
thing
happens.
that is
Like,
going to happen.
we will like the temperature will raise enough degrees that we will start fucking cooking in our own skin. And like this dude is just like, yeah, that's pretty cool. All right.
Thanks, I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
No, he's going to be sitting because the New York Times is paying him like 7 figures a year. He's going to be sitting in his climate controlled like air
Well,
conditioned.
right,
He'll
that's
be
exactly
in his
it.
Logan's Run dome.
Yeah, exactly. and the
Like-
rest of us.
Well,
are gonna
okay,
be
so like
cooking.
this is like a fucking weird aside, but like look at Phoenix. Look at just
Oh, yeah.
look at Phoenix. Phoenix is a perfect example of where these rich fucks are going to exist as climate change continues to ravage this fucking world. Phoenix should not exist as a city. The size that it does, it's like the 4th largest
It's a
metropolitan
monument
area.
to man's. What is it? Monument to man's hubris or whatever.
From King of the Hill.
King of the Hill. episode.
It's the 4th largest metropolitan area in the U.S., but it's actually uninhabitable if you don't fucking have AC. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
you can't live in Phoenix if you don't fucking have AC because you will fucking boil.
That's how it's gonna be here in
So
20
like,
years.
cool, dude. Like, let's just like be incrementalists and fucking try and fix shit. And like, ugh.
Yeah.
No.
Taylor's so angry today, like just
well, no,
full of
but
rage.
he's really rowdy. But like, here's the thing: we should be.
He's really rowdy,
about
but
climate
he's
change.
right as fuck.
We gotta
No,
be rowdy
I
about
just
climate
like-
change.
You're always right.
Socialism is the only way. Like, full ass socialism, not this fucking
Yes.
Green New Deal
Well,
shit. Full ass socialism is the only
And
way to
that's
deal with
and
this.
I think that's ultimately where I'm going at is this Green New Deal thing is like the New Deal was fucked anyway. Like we've talked about this before. The way that social change happened in the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. Like the entire existence of the USSR held the U.S. accountable
Yup.
for the shit that
Yep.
it was doing. The New Deal would not have existed had the USSR not
And
existed.
the
Like
New
that's
Deal, the
fucked.
New Deal was they explicitly said we need to do this or they are going to revolt
Right.
in our country.
And the New Deal
Yeah.
wasn't even that fucking great. And this Green New Deal isn't that fucking great, but there's no country holding the US accountable besides China in a sense. Like you have a country that's pushing forward the minimization of the effects of poverty and trying to push themselves to a net zero green policy as far as emissions and things like that. Like and then we have an American quote unquote left that vilifies China as an entity, and then you have an American quote unquote left also speaking towards like anarchists and left comms that want to pretend that it's not fucking like socialist or communist. It's really it's asinine to believe that a Green New Deal actively pushes for anything radical or anything important or anything that will actually save us, or in the meantime, anything that actually minimizes the suffering that the global South incurs because of our fucking imperialistic existence. And like that's something that's never approached. When people talk about how great AOC is and this idea of like, oh, well, at least there's some kind of like leftist push within government happening.
DSA.
Fuck. AOC will not get another term. I guarantee you that shit's gonna happen if things
I
keep
mean,
going the
even
way.
if she does though,
Doesn't
like,
fucking
But
who
but
gives a
but
shit?
like yeah, but
the Democrats though are already talking about redrawing the districts so that hers will
Right.
be eliminated. Not kidding. That's literally
Wow.
something they're doing.
But here's the thing: is like she pushes for things that like are seemingly progressive, right? But then at the end of the day, her policy, like every American quote unquote socialist, exists in this place where the DSA can support them, throw their votes at them, and be happy about them, but they never approach the topic of anti-imperialism
Yup.
or decolonization, all
Yup.
these things that affect the most marginalized communities and the most like disenfranchised people on earth that are never approached. And these people are raised as heralds among these fucking milquetoast American leftists, and it's fucked. The Green New Deal is fucked. AOC is fucked. Everything is fucked. Become
New Deal,
a communist.
Whack.
There you
AOC,
go.
whack.
No, just be a communist. That's all it fucking
Xi Jinping,
takes.
tight as fuck.
Be a principled
Yes.
Marxist-Leninist,
Yeah.
or else you're a bad
off.
person. Go away. Fuck you.
Okay.
God damn.
Yes,
yeah,
King,
Taylor
go
Mad
off,
tonight.
King.
Go up.
Stop.
All right.
I'm sorry. It's like I'm
Yeah.
tired of it. I'm
Agreed.
tired of these like I sorry.
All right,
you-
Alex
you're
Jones.
laughing.
I'm just so sick of these fucking
Oh,
fools.
that just make me so mad.
That's just like your Yosemite Sam from.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Ooh,
That's what Alex
I
Jones-
hate these
That's what he
scabs.
sounds like. There's the. Have you seen the one where he just gets like mad and he can't speak? That's Alex.
Well, it's like there's that video of Randy Savage like Macho Man Randy Savage like promo for an episode where they cut out all the words and it's just him like
Ooh.
just like him breathing, and then at the end he's like, "It's enough to get me to the boiling point."
Oh yeah.
So stupid. Okay, all right. So just a couple more news articles, and then
fuck
we'll move on to the
liberals.
mailbag. It's common to this is when we move over to the Washington Post. It's common to praise socialism. It's rarer to define it.
I mean
by
that's true.
George F. Will. Sure. So he starts out from each
Anarchists are
according.
not socialists.
Yikes! Well, I don't know if George Will would agree with you. So he starts the article from each according to his ability to each according to his needs. Karl Marx.
Thank you.
That doesn't define socialism.
Well, hold on. So
No,
he's,
and
he's
then
talking about
most-
Norman Thomas, who was running for president as a
Yeah.
socialist candidate. Okay.
Following Debs.
In 1962, Michael Harrington, a founder of the Democratic Socialists of America, it succumbed to a familiar phenomenon. 2 American socialists equals 3 factions. Published The Other America. It supposedly kindled President John F. Kennedy's interest in poverty. Famed Democratic Socialist John F. Kennedy, which had not escaped his attention while campaigning in West Virginia's primary. Harrington, like quote-unquote Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders, today thought socialism should be advanced through the Democratic Party. Okay. Today, socialism has new, angrier advocates.
Yes.
Speaking well of it gives the speaker the frisson of being naughty and the fun of provoking Republicans.
off.
Like those,
Like it's an aesthetic choice.
and the fun of provoking Republicans, like those whose hosannas rattled the rafters when the president vowed that America would never become socialist. Socialism is, however, more frequently praised than defined because it has become a classification that no longer classifies. So a president who promiscuously wields government power to influence the allocation of capital can preen as capitalism's defender against socialists who, like the Bolsheviks, would storm America's Winter Palace if the United States had one.
Ew.
Goofy.
Time was, oh my God, time was socialism meant socialism meant thorough collectivism, state ownership of the means of production, including arable land, distribution, and exchange.
Yeah, who runs that state, motherfucker?
When this did not go swimmingly where it was first tried, Lenin said in 1922 that socialism meant government ownership of the economy's commanding heights, big entities. After that's what it says.
Ew.
After many subsequent dilutions,
Thick.
today
Thick
no,
entities.
big entities.
Thick
Stop
entities.
it.
God damn
Stop.
it.
Them entities.
After
thick.
many subsequent dilutions, today's watery concepts of socialism. So here's the thing: like he's getting at like a
Oh,
point,
yeah, no,
but
he's
from
right.
the opposite direction.
Right.
Today's watery
A bit like Brett
conceptions.
Stevens.
Yeah, fuck. This means okay. After many subsequent dilutions, today's watery concepts of socialism amount to this: almost everyone will be nice to almost everyone, using money taken from a few.
Oh.
So that's the galaxy
My brain just like nuclear explosion within it.
This
That's-
means having government distribute according to its conception of equity, the wealth produced by
It's.
capitalism.
Who just what is it?
The government.
What is the government?
Big government. This conception is shaped by muscular factions. The elderly
No,
government
it's
employees
disgusting.
unions, the steel industry, the sugar growers, and so on and on.
What?
Some wealth is distributed to the poor. Most goes to the quote-unquote neglected middle class. Some neglect. The political class talks of little else.
The 2020 American Sugar Wars.
This is fucking
Is that
funny.
like one like farm conglomerate that's still growing sugar in the United States?
2/3 of the federal budget and 14% of gross domestic product goes to transfer payments, mostly to the non-poor. The U.S. economy's healthcare sector, about 18% of the economy, is larger than the economies of all but 3 nations and is permeated by government money and mandates. Before the Affordable Care Act was enacted, 40 cents of every healthcare dollar was the government's 40 cents. The sturdy yeomanry who till America's soil, last year's 529-page Agriculture Improvement Act will be administered by the Agriculture Department, which has about 1 employee for every 20 farms. Socialists prefer a steeply progressive income tax, as did those who created today's. The top 1% pay 40% of taxes. The bottom 50% pay only 3%. 50% of households pay either no income tax or 10% or less of their income.
That's because real wages are in the fucking gutter, you idiot.
America's a fuck.
Oh fuck! Oh fuck! This is a short article, so I'm just gonna end up reading all of it because like everything is just so fucking wild. In his volume, "The Oxford History of the United States," Stanford's Richard White says
Ethan, you're making me want to die.
that John Bates. This is what people pay for. Says that John Bates Clark, the leading economist of that era, said, "quote unquote," true socialism is economic republicanism, which meant more cooperation and less individualism. Others saw socialism as a system of social ethics. All was vagueness.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that.
So, all right, I'm almost done here. Today's angrier socialists rail with specificity and some justification against today's rigged, that's in quotes, rigged
Oh,
system of
God.
government in the service of the strong. But as the Hoover Institution's John H. Cochran, a.k.a. the grumpy economist, says, If the central problem is rent-seeking, abuse of the power of the state to deliver economic goods to the wealthy and politically powerful, how in the world is more government the answer? Last paragraph. The boldness,
Please kill me.
the boldness of today's explicit and implicit socialists taxing the quote-unquote rich is a perennial temptation of democracy, inciting the majority to attack an unpopular minority. This is socialism now. From each
Christ.
fact,
Off.
this is socialism now, from each faction according to its vulnerability to each faction according to its ability to confiscate.
Billionaires are actually an oppressed class, according to
People
People
of
of
wealth.
wealth.
People of
Richest.
wealth,
You.
please.
Richest.
You richest, yeah. So yeah, that's that. Very cool. I mean, so here's the thing. This guy's obviously a fucking moron. He'll be doing
Yep.
plenty of productive labor for the revolution in some sort of
That
camp.
doesn't sound like a tax. I thought this
tax
was
on
the
his
tax.
time and
Oh,
It
physical
is-
energy.
It's going to be a tax on his
Alright.
existence.
Yeah.
He's going to be there the rest of his goddamn life for making me read that article or listen to it or whatever.
Yeah. No, there's good stuff here. I'm
What's
not gonna
his
read
fuck's name? I want to remember.
George F. Will. George, here's
Oh,
here's
I know
his thing.
George.
George Will writes a twice-weekly
Oh.
column on politics and domestic and foreign affairs. He
Okay.
began his column in the Post in 1974 and received the Pulitzer Prize for commentary in 1977.
Yeah, George Will is a famous columnist.
He's
and that motherfucker is going to die in a gulag.
Sorry, Will. Mr. Will?
George
Mr.
Will.
Will.
Yeah,
Sorry, Mr. Will.
this
Go
guy
by
sucks.
his first name after he spewed
George.
that bullshit.
Ugh. No, like the Reed Moores are
Many
great.
apologies to Mr. Will's family, who will also be in the gulag.
No, the Reed Moores are great. Max Boot, who is terrible, he says, "Here's the right lesson liberals should learn from Scandinavian quote-unquote socialism."
Ah,
And then
God.
Ed Rogers, democratic socialists can't hide their shallowness. Yeah, so it's.
I
So listen,
agreed.
I mean,
Agreed.
sure,
Yeah.
but so here's the thing: like the Washington Post, who says democracy dies in darkness, they're publishing this motherfucker who's this old ass
that
idiot.
movie was so boring, by the way.
What?
That fucking Washington
The Post?
movie was so goddamn boring.
They published the. They ended the Vietnam War.
Okay.
Any
Okay.
response to George Will other than die?
He's going to die in a
Yeah,
gulag.
that's-
I promise, I swear on my life and the life of everyone that I love, that
Oh my God.
motherfucker will
There's
die
no
in a
real
goddamn
analysis there
gulag.
because who he's critiquing is Dem Socks, who we also fucking hate.
Well,
So I'm
And
not
sock
gonna, like,
Dems.
No, sock dems. Yeah.
well, and
he's-
so
he's-
that's
he's
an
critiquing sock
interesting
dems.
thing is like I've seen people saying recently like, well, listen, even if you don't agree with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or whatever, like the Democratic Socialist Caucus, like whatever that former ex-troop in Virginia or whatever, Lee Carter, fuck that guy. People saying like, listen, they're bringing socialism, like they're making the word not a dirty word anymore.
Yeah, I mean, which is a positive thing. I'm not
Sure.
going to
It
shit
will-
on them,
but-
I will shit on those people because they are not doing what
We'll
needs to
never
be
But
done.
here's the
support
thing:
you.
is like not making a word dirty doesn't
They're
jive when they're obfuscating what it actually means.
I think I disagree. Like I think their existence is positive because when somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a socialist," and you're like, "That's not socialism. Let me explain what socialism is." That opens all kinds of doors. It doesn't mean that it's like necessarily gonna save the world or that like massively everyone is gonna flock to actual socialism, but there is like a door that has to be opened a crack before you can like slide that foot in and be like,
I think you
actually, I'm gonna like Mormon missionary my way into this conversation.
I mean that's fair, but
I
No, I
It's-
mean,
I mean, it's a
so-
mixed
it's
bag.
complicated.
Sure, yeah.
It's complicated.
But fuck Dem Socks and Sock
But
Dems.
you have to like continue to criticize them. Obviously.
Well, right. I mean, yeah, that's ruthless criticism of all things
Ruthless.
existing. All right.
Get that Ruth out of here. I'm just gonna.
Dumb.
Stupid.
Fucking dumb.
All right. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna
sorry,
answer.
not sorry.
We're gonna answer a couple questions from our patrons and our fans. The fans. So we're gonna take a couple of calls, like live calls. We're gonna be having live conversations with a couple of our fans.
Fuck yeah.
And I think we're gonna start doing this every dad episode, just because I think we had such a fun time during the anniversary episode. that we're
Because
gonna
we
try
love
and
our
do this.
children.
Yeah. All of our fans are our children, and we hold them to our chests and just comfort them.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
good. Yeah, but so I think we're going to do this, but so that's what's going to happen right now. Hello?
Hey,
Hey.
take 3.
Hello. You've reached
Yeah,
the...
this is
you-
Bert.
Oh, Bert.
No, go
cool.
ahead.
This is the Pearls of the Round Table, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah, birthmarks is Cameron. Yeah, this is my 3rd time, and finally I'm in, so that's great.
Sorry, we had some technical difficulties over here. We got it now, though. So, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm in between doing homework assignments. I'm a grad student at UNCG, University of North Carolina, Greensboro.
Nice.
So
What are you
trying
studying?
to hold it down. Economics.
Oh boy.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm one of the 2 red dots in the program, so that's great.
At least there's another one. Jeez.
True. I'm sure
Yeah.
the takes are spicy.
Yeah, very good. Now go ahead. What were you saying?
I said I'm sure the takes are spicy.
Yeah, so many spicy takes. Oh my goodness, we talk so much about guillotines every single time we get something.
Awesome.
It's just like saw something about Bezos. Was just like, ah man, got to keep it sharp. But yeah, so,
It's mandatory.
so my question for you guys is: let's say the revolution happens tomorrow. Everybody gets into power. The left wins. It's a glorious day. What do you think the left should do about the military? Like, this is a very big,
Ooh, loaded.
Oh
Purpose.
man. God.
yeah.
Well, so I mean, like, part of that. So you're. I mean, like, based on like the because that brings up the whole question of like how involved is like current military shit gonna be like with the actual revolution.
Mhm.
So like,
Right.
Right.
damn.
Yeah, I mean there has never been a successful revolution in which like some portion of the military didn't like switch sides at some point.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think in the United States that's going to be a
Hella.
massive fucking deal because of just the fucking budget of the US military and you know how much equipment and weaponry or whatever could be turned against a revolution.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think probably I don't know. I mean, you know, obviously leadership is gone. I mean, we're not going to keep on like the fucking Joint Chiefs of Staff under whatever existing
Nope.
regime exists in the United States at that point.
The Trump regime.
The Trump regime. But you know, I don't know. In terms of like the broader military, I think it's going to have to be dealt with based on
Case by
what's
case,
happening
right?
there. I mean, you know,
Right. Yeah. And
obviously,
what are we supposed to use against the UK?
Yikes.
the UK is going to become a colony of the
Oh shit! Social imperialism.
social imperialism.
Shout out to Cholo Kami.
Fuck.
Oh my god.
But
yeah, no, I mean that's tough, right?
Well-
Because like, well, go ahead.
Oh, I just like it. I don't know where you're going with this, but like I think that like whereas police officers are distinctly class traitors because of the inherent effect that like American policing has on the population within it. Like a lot of what the military does is not about like quote unquote class traitors, but it's about like giving some alternative like monetarily to people who otherwise don't, and it's really entrapping in that sense. And so like yeah, I think soldiers are fucked and they're bad and like it's not great, but I do think
Official
that there's
stance.
Official stance.
I do think that there is a lot of value behind showing that like you can make a living without having to like sacrifice your values for the sake like I like
It's,
living
it's,
in
it's extremely complicated. I
living
mean,
in the Springs, we see this all the time. Where
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure we all know people who are soldiers that are otherwise genuinely good people who were just misled because they were lived in poverty and they had to find some place
At
to.
my high school that I teach
One of the
at.
big things.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
Well,
I was saying one of the big things about joining the military is if you struggle to pay for college is a really big thing,
Yeah.
especially if it's before you realize, like, let's say you realize what it's like to be in the military and what it actually means as an imperial force. You're just trying to pay for college because that shit is expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was so my dad. So in my dad's family, there he has a sister and then he has a brother. My dad went into the military. Then right when my dad went off, was I think he went to Germany or something. My uncle joined a gang. So that's realistically that was like the options that my dad had. Either he was going to join a gang or join the military. To him, which I talked to him about. I'm like I don't like there was more options for you, but
that's what it
to
felt like,
him,
probably.
yeah.
Right?
I mean, that was his conditions.
Yeah. Well, and like, so I teach at a really low income school here in the Springs, and like, we have so many like ROTC programs, and we have recruiters, and for a lot of these kids who like have like are working jobs to support their families, like, and they're 16 years old, like. I'm sure the military sounds like a great option because they don't have a kind of global, like, of course they don't have a fucking global consciousness or like understanding of U.S. imperialism.
Right.
Now, at the same time, that's not going to mean a whole lot to
It's gonna
some.
mean nothing. Yeah.
Well, that's not gonna. Yeah, that's gonna mean less than nothing to some kid in fucking Yemen or Afghanistan or where, or like any of the million places that the U.S. has troops. They're not gonna give a shit why you signed up. So it's really complicated.
It's extremely complicated.
I don't have a good answer for it.
Like someone on the Discord was even saying that the military to them seems like an international police force.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Which
They're the
they
global
are,
cops.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're still, I would consider still class traders. Like my dad was kind of in the sense doing that because like you're willing to. This is where, this is my and this is my stance. This is an official stance of the poll. But like
everything that any of us say is official Prohl stance.
I think there's better options of doing things rather than, and I think most people are aware of those options, but they're willing to take on the ideology and that like kind of deteriorate from even like race, like especially for my dad, he knows what like soldiers are capable of, like at the border as well. So that's what I'm trying to.
Not to mention the fact that like it's chauvinistic, I think, to not call soldiers class traders because they're going overseas to oppress the proletariat of another country. And so sure, they're not here oppressing the proletariat like the cops do. But they're still working towards that.
I see what Taylor was saying.
And here's the thing:
is like it's the cops don't have the same. Cops don't have the same like targeted.
Right, and that's I'm not. I guess I should have like phrased that better. They're not class traders, but they exist in a place where
they're manipulated in a way that
cops like there's an immediate capital gain from like signing up to join a force at 18 versus like deciding actively to be a cop, and so like that's. I think it's a more manipulative way of making you a class trader than actively deciding to do so.
Yeah.
That doesn't change the end result. That doesn't change who you are and what you've done. But what it does is that it pushes you into that position. And this is something we talk about a lot. Obviously, like this hegemonic idea of what justice is. Like we see justice in America as, you know, we have it on money and on monuments where it's this, you know, Lady Justice is blind and has a scale and all these things, and it's like justice is meted out in a very logical and non-biased way. And so I think that like the military almost like tries to pretend that it exists within that sphere of just like, hey, look, we're America. We exist here. We just got to do shit. Join us and we'll make something happen. Whereas cops, obviously, there is this like social imperative within the country that you look at, and people, like even people who join it can see, you know, this might not be the best thing. And obviously they don't always, but like,
well, and I think part of it is that with cops, like people like us in America, like we see cops, like we see the effects in like community, like black communities and communities of color, like we see that. Whereas we don't really see a lot of the physical effects of
Right.
the military. It's like outsourced, and like we're encouraged to not pay
Right.
attention
Right,
to that.
and
I'm not
most of the
trying to-
time, if we hear anything about it, it's from a soldier that's come back, and they're just like, "Oh, it's so bad over there. Like, I had to do all these bad things, and
it's
this."
like, oh, thank you
And
for your
there's like,
service.
you know, the whole.
It's not an easy job, but somebody's got to do it.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
The whole joke among the left about self crit, you know, or not necessarily joke. Like, it's obviously a joke among people who are just like, "Oh, self crit."
Are you implying self-criticism as a joke?
No, I
Self-criticize for
think
that.
how do I phrase this? The meme, but not like the funny haha meme, but like this mimetic
Yeah.
understanding of like what self crit is
Mimetic.
within the leftist online spheres is built around a lot of times different sects of leftism saying, "Oh, self crit," but not a lot of them understand it. Soldiers don't get that. Soldiers don't go overseas and like self crit in the way that like we actively want to as leftists, and they come back and they're like, "Oh, it was
But
fucked up over there,"
Like,
and they blame it on the country that they're in, not like on their process of being there. And so that self crit is not there. It's this criticism of a system, but it's not a criticism of them in that place in that system, right?
but I think
so,
every like person who has gone to war and then come back seems to turn out as an anarchist, as a communist, or as a fascist. Like that seems to be like the only paths that
You
happen.
have to
They-
face the contradiction.
right, because they get out there
Right.
and they're like, whoa, this is awful, you know, fuck the government, or they're like, whoa, this is awful, fuck capitalism, or they're like, this is tight as hell, I want to kill, I want to like,
Yeah.
I want to murder people who don't look like me. So I don't think that like inherently, if you enlist and you go overseas and you go into war, that you're like irredeemable, like you can't like.
No,
Right.
that's not what
But-
I'm trying to say.
But the act of being there is criminal. I think it's, you know, you are, whether or not you understood the consequences, you are involved in what's happening, and people are dying.
I mean, the same is true for like the chair force people that are just filing. You know what I mean? Like they are
Yeah.
still responsible.
Right.
Like, you can't just abdicate responsibility because you sit in an office somewhere in Missouri and file paperwork.
I mean so this is sort of a tangent, but like we Proles Pod on Twitter got a huge like burn on like for a thing like Justin Reed like made a comment about the guy who like has edited 1/3 of the Wikipedia articles, and that guy works for border enforcement, but everyone was like, "Oh, he's just like logistics. It doesn't matter." As if any sort of
Right.
military fascist like just oppressive force doesn't require massive logistical
oh,
support.
well,
Right.
like we live in the Springs. We're surrounded on every side
That's our biggest
by
industries.
military bases.
Those are our biggest industries. in town.
Everybody who sits there,
Contractors, too.
like professors that educate at the Air Force Academy, are implicit within this system.
Yeah.
They get punishment. They don't get to just like exist outside of the system that actual boots on the ground exists within. Like, they are a part of this system which educates and propagates Western imperialist ideology.
But
and
I
like,
think we're all like in some
yeah.
way, shape,
Oh,
or form
yeah.
complicit, because
Absolutely.
we, you know, and particularly people who vote for the imperialist parties, who support them in one way or another, the Democrats or the Republicans.
It's tacit approval.
It is tacit
Yep.
approval.
So
Every
it's
day we're not making revolution.
The only thing that I do is that my theater company does not give a military discount. Say fuck the troops.
in this town, that's
That is huge.
baller. I love it. Every place that I've worked at has never given a military discount, and I love just saying that. I love
Same.
just like,
Same.
hey man, sorry we don't, but I'm not sorry. Fuck you.
No, so
I used to laugh at them when they would ask. When I worked at Starbucks, they'd be like, "Do you get a military discount?" And I'd be like, "No."
So what do you think? Like, so you called in. We just have a couple more minutes here. 'Cause we got but yeah, what are your thoughts?
That's a tough one because I'm trying to figure out like how exactly do you restructure or repurpose the military in a leftist way.
Yeah.
I just don't really know of a lot of books on different leftist governments or socialist governments
Well,
that have tried the project. Like China, Soviet Union, how their military structures are, or Venezuela or whatnot. I guess studying them and seeing what they've done to be more accessible to the proletariat, both here and abroad. But I don't know what that means, right? It sounds nice.
Yeah, the
I
Soviet
don't know.
Union initially like got rid of their leadership altogether and set up sort of voted in leadership among the military, and it was somewhat of a disaster because the people who had the most expertise in logistics and tactics and whatnot were gone. So they went back to the old way, which, I mean, I don't know.
But then they also so the same way that they would have regular purges of the party, they would
Sorry,
they would have regular
thinking about
purges
Trotsky.
of the military leadership, and so it allows for a constant checks and balances restructuring of the military force. I mean, there's not really. I don't think there. For me anyway, I don't think there is a different way to structure the military than a hierarchical position. You can't do that in a government. You can't do it in the military.
they had an anarchist
Right.
military in Spanish Civil
Oh,
War,
Shut up.
and they got wrecked.
They did get wrecked.
I don't know if you've heard us talk about it, but the dictatorship of horizontal leadership is
Yes.
more
Right.
scary than any sort of actual dictatorship.
Google tyranny of
Because in-
structurelessness.
Without any actual credentials that can be checked and filed.
Right.
Right.
Well, yeah. Well, what happens is that the people with the most social capital float to the top, which is always very dangerous.
Right.
Right.
Because they become the de facto dictators and they have no credentials whatsoever to serve in that position.
Right,
So-
exactly.
Just put.
But yeah, so I mean, I don't know if there's some radical way to restructure. Aside from, like I said, I think it's important to have number one to be beholden to the party. Like the military has to be beholden to the party.
Absolutely.
Any sort of militant arm has to be holding the party line and enforcing party interests. But
Well, and we see that in Venezuela right now. Like the
Yes.
military is actually holding the party line, and then it's anyway, sorry. We see that.
gotta-
We have an active reference for that.
But yeah, so as far as as far as that, I just don't think there's a way to really restructure it any differently. And you also need it to defend. So you basically withdraw from all the foreign countries that you're in, unless you can push proletarian revolution in them, and then move on.
So I think,
Okay.
I think we're about out of time. I mean, I don't know if that answers your question exactly, but I mean, yeah, it's a complicated thing, and it is something that I think that we all, as leftists, who think about revolution and post-revolutionary society, it's something that we need to figure out and think about. But I think also there are a million different factors, and it changes depending on how a specific revolution goes down, all of this stuff. So yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's given we've had an interesting conversation here. But yeah, thank you so much for calling in, man.
Thank you for picking up.
All right.
Have a good one.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you
Bert.
too.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. I don't. He hung up, I think.
Who's the next person?
I don't know if we'll talk. I don't know if we'll talk to him soon, but
But
that's
you
just the thing I
so
said.
anyway. Fucking liar. All right, please quietly.
Yeah, everyone. If you're gonna chew away from the mic. Hello, you've reached the proles.
I'm Maisie. I'm a frog butch on the Discord.
Well, thanks for calling. So what's so yeah, what are you calling about? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, good question. I've been thinking about that a lot. Oh my gosh, shit, what the fuck am I going to talk about?
I think about that before every episode.
Right. I think the main question I probably have, or I guess what I'd like to hear you guys talk about is how do you think capitalism plays into current mental health and addiction crises?
Oh fuck. Oh
Some
man.
loaded ass questions.
Wait, so mental
today.
health and what was the last part?
Addiction.
Addiction? Oh, shit.
Fuck.
I mean, I think that capitalism
It's
treats
bad, right?
treats these as like a pathology which exists outside of material conditions. Like you're sick, like you're addicted, you're sick, you have depression, you're sick. There's something wrong with you in your brain, which is true. I mean, none of that is untrue, but it does not move beyond that to ask, why are you sick? What is causing this to happen?
Yeah, and that's
Um,
something that I was talking to Hyder about back when he was here. Rip. Hyder. No, but like, so Mark Fisher, who he wrote Capitalist Realism, in that he says, like he writes in the book, he's talking about like, yes, depression and various mental illnesses are caused by chemical imbalances in the brain. The thing we need to be talking about is why so many people have these chemical imbalances in their brain. And like, and so like in having this conversation with Hyder, I think I think he mentioned it in our university episode too, was that when he said, I turned to Marxism because like it, and like theory and reading history, like it let me know that the reason that I felt this way wasn't because there was something wrong with me. I wasn't the broken one.
Right.
It's that the world
Oh,
is
shit.
the world is broken, and some of us don't fit into this broken world, and then we're the ones who are punished for that. And like, and it's hard, and I don't. I mean, I pay shitloads of money to pay to take a pill every day so I can get out of bed. Like, it's hard, but it's because our society is fundamentally broken and we don't fit into it, and there are things that exacerbate existing, like maybe chemical imbalances. Like if I wasn't in a fucking capitalist society where I had to go to work and be productive and do all these things, I don't think things would be as like my low points wouldn't be as bad because they weren't encouraged and
Right.
by the rest of society that I'm living in.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Well, and then,
Yeah,
and
for
then
sure.
as like the idea of productivity goes, like you feel obligated to continue despite those problems, or like despite like
Which-
wanting to move forward.
Exactly.
And like it's there's a lot of things surrounding it, but at a base level too, it's just like making rent and like just even existing in a place where you can like support yourself and like continue forward, and that like you don't get time to self heal and like evaluate and like build and understand and grow, and like because you always have to be making some deadline, some kind of capital gain, some kind of way to just like put money somewhere that you shouldn't otherwise have to.
Right. I mean, like, rates of like suicide and violent crime in socialist nations are so much lower than in capitalist nations. Like,
What
if you
about
look,
political crime?
oh Jesus Christ! Like, if you look at like the Soviet Union or the GDR or places like that, very little violent crime. Most of the criminals were guilty of something related to, and which is why everybody's like, oh, all these political prisoners in the gulags, sad. But their level of, murder, robbery, assault, things of that nature didn't happen because people were generally happy. They had their basic needs met. They were not making money for somebody else. They were not alienated from the products of their labor, nor were they alienated from each other. And so when you have that sense of community, it's like having a giant family for one thing, but it also means that you're less likely to like feel antagonistic towards the other people around you when you're not having to compete with them just to survive.
Yeah, it's not a competition. And if you want proof of this, you can look at any crime statistics, mental health statistics, any sort of statistics from societies that were socialist and then had their system collapse. You can look and see like what happened in Russia and the former Soviet republics. Like people, they didn't have the sense of knowing that like they had to suddenly like your existence is predicated on you working or how much money you have.
Right. And like they you'll watch all this capitalist propaganda or listen to it or read it or whatever, and they'll say, "Oh, everybody was reporting on each other. They were ratting each other out to the government." No, I mean, no. That first of all, that wasn't happening, and second of all, that is if you're looking at ways of being suspicious or aggressive or destructive towards your fellow human being, capitalism is the place to look.
Wah, 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 wah.
We hardly ever do the
Ezra, what
air
were you gonna
horns
say?
anymore.
Oh no, well, I was just gonna say this ties in with eugenics, in which you naturalize the basis in which your class, your race, whatever, adds into how smart or intelligent you are, or how capable you are to move forward or stay behind. And this also, I would argue, goes with intergenerational trauma, which the pain that your family felt previously, whether that be with like race ties and disabilities or whatever, it comes back to haunt you in your life, merely because of the system that you exist in, not because it came in through like genetics or what. It's just that you have to deal with that pressure of having to live in slums or ghettos or whatever, and having to face that kind of I don't know, upset. That's why death rate, or like people have, like, especially Mexicans, they have a lot of like heart issues and
Right.
like
Right.
stomach problems or whatever. It's mostly due to that kind of anxiety and depression and stuff like that.
Right. And this question was about mental health and addiction. But if you look at by racial category who is most susceptible to heart disease, there's sort of this implication when you read the raw statistics that it's some sort of a genetic malfunction that causes this,
Yeah.
with zero analysis materially into what the conditions that these people live in. And I imagine if you're, well, no, probably not. I was going to say, I imagine if you get to the point that you are in the upper middle class, the rates probably are equivalent to whites, but I imagine the stress of
Trying to
not
be-
being white
not being white.
probably contributes to that as well.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
But what that, I mean, this is obviously this is an enormous topic, like a huge thing. Like what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I could totally agree with a lot of what y'all have said. I think trauma is such like a huge unrecognized factor. Yeah, I've been like in and out of sobriety and recovery for a long time, and like something I've seen time and time again is that like everyone I meet just has just buckets and buckets of like traumatic experiences, and more often than not, like obviously like it's the poor people who are really struggling with them, like the people who can't like go to all these like bougie treatment centers and like who don't have the resources to cope with that, and like, you know, they just go to whatever is easiest. And then like, yeah, of course, like if our entire lives are centered around trying not to starve or trying not to be fucking homeless, like of course that's going to cause like traumatic stress to anyone who has like any sort of like financial instability.
Yeah.
Well, and I think in that sense too, you look at like these pop self-help guides or whatever that come from like, you know, fuck, what are the big ones, like a BuzzFeed, like, hey, this is how like the most successful people on earth operate. Self-care. It's like most of the time it's like these regiments where it's like, oh, I wake up at like 5 every morning and I like drink a coffee and I like do all these things
and I
like,
meditate for 45 minutes.
Right. And then you like look back into the history of this person and it all comes from capital, right? Like the people that are successful, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, any of these like big name tech giants that people are like look at as like good examples of like how to be a successful tech or like successful business person or whatever. It comes from already having wealth and then like not worrying about shit, you know? Like I feel like everybody who sits at this table, everybody who listens to our podcast, everybody who exists in a space where they like actively are laboring, and this just comes back to like just the labor theory of value in a sense, where it's like you work, your labor has value. You don't get that, and you'll never see that. And all of a sudden, you exist in a place that puts you in peril of being homeless, of being destitute, of not being able to feed your kids, of all these things. And all of a sudden, that stratification of capital doesn't just mean, oh, this guy's successful, I should aim for what he's doing. It means, fuck, how do I exist? And then that plays into all this, and so you see the way that like success is predicated on like capital in any sense, and just like self-help shit is just not
Doesn't handle
healthy
any
to
of it.
anybody,
doesn't
you know,
handle
and
any of
like and then like that.
It doesn't address your material fucking condition.
No.
How does how clean your room is like prepare you for having to like kiss your boss's ass 24/7 or be fake to your coworkers for 8 to 9 hours a day, which is most of your waking day? Like what prepares you for that? Like what part of self-help allows you to deal with the like crippling anxiety of not being yourself for most of your day?
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, like fuck, that's like a really good point. Like just that like constant alienation and like the ways in which it like disproportionately affects like minorities and more oppressed peoples. Like
Yeah.
of course, like yeah, like just like any fucking job I can think of, like I can see like how coworkers have been like treated differently, or like yeah, or like any shit like that, or like how certain coworkers were like fucking praised for, you know, shitting on their hands because they're white dudes, or like
Right.
whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And how do you? I mean, how many relationships or friendships have you built where you have to slowly introduce yourself to this person because who you are in reality is not who you are in public, and so you have to like, you know, feel them out and then see what they can handle, and like basically
you can't be yourself.
you cannot be yourself. You
Right.
can literally never be yourself until you have like taken them aside for, you know, you basically court friends in order to like drop all of the pretenses and be yourself for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like fuck, like I can't think of a single friend who I haven't just like broken off pieces of myself to and slowly like shared and like, okay, this is safe. Okay, this part of me is safe. This part's safe. And like until it gets there. And like honestly, a lot of times it's like there's a lot of shit that's not safe. So you just hold that back.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we're running out of time here, but like I think that this really gets at one of the most like important things that we're doing on the left, like with trying to address capitalism and alienation. I mean, I've said it before in a couple episodes, but like the whole point of socialism for me is like to get to the point where as where we stop being like fucking animals just trying to worry about our like survival and all of the trauma that comes along with that. Like socialism is about like for the first time in history becoming human beings, where we can actually figure out what it means to be human beyond all of this fucking just alienation and economic just oppression. It's fucking So anyway, thank you so much for calling, Maisie. That was it's a huge topic, and I'm glad we solved it these last couple minutes. But
You can go home. We figured it out.
we got it. But yeah.
Okay, glad to hear it.
Yeah, but I really appreciate you calling. It's great to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening, and for calling in and just being and thanks for being a like fucking like Marxist, anti-capitalist, like in this world, because it is not easy.
No.
Everything is against you in that. And so
I think to cap that off too is like this idea that we've talked about this so much, the trauma that comes with becoming a communist, you've gone so far as to be marginalized and like struggle with your existence where you live and how you exist and things like that, and then you've gone through the processes of becoming a Marxist beyond that. It's a lot. Like we struggle with this daily, all of
and
us.
that's even
like,
on top of like any other
Yeah.
things that are happening in your life, any other like things that are part of your identity that may make it more difficult
Yeah.
for you. Even just like fucking being a communist, it's like
So,
that's
yeah,
one
I
more
just-
thing.
Fuck, I just wanted to say keep on keeping on. Like it's really like it's kind of goofy, but like just keep being a radical, cool ass Marxist, because the more of us that are out there, the easier it is for other people to digest, and like maybe we can lessen their trauma to becoming Marxists, and all of a sudden we have a larger swath of people that like will help fight this battle with us.
Yeah, just like stay strong. You're not alone. There are other people here, and we're
And you can be yourself.
yeah. So
Oh, fuck. Well, thank you so much. It's all so sweet. Yeah, thank you guys so much for like doing what you do. I love your podcast, and yeah, y'all are just fucking amazing. And yeah, I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to chat.
yeah, of course. Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much for calling in. I hope
thank
hopefully we'll hear from you again at some point. So
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, hell yeah. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Bye.
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 Damn, two really good calls.
Damn, those were good. Thank you so much to Birth Marxist and Maisie for calling in. I mean, those were wild ass conversations, and we only just scratched the surface. but,
Deep
like,
questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
but thank you so much for calling in. Like I said earlier, we're gonna do this. I think we're gonna do this every Dialectics After Dark episode. So watch on Twitter, because we're gonna let you know on
And
Twitter
Facebook. I did
and
post it
Facebook.
on Facebook.
We're gonna also do this on Facebook. So just keep an eye out. We have to keep it limited to like 2 or 3 every time, but like just
Yeah.
just keep an eye out. And if you jump on it, like good for you. All right. The mailbag. So this first question
You answer. Where are you asking from?
it doesn't say. The name is Yo Boy Skittle Titties.
Oh boy.
God damn it.
That's why. Hence my face. Okay.
What does that?
Self-crit skittle
What does
titties.
that mean? What would that mean?
I don't
okay,
know.
no, go ahead.
All right.
I just
So I'm kind of a baby lefty with no tendency, but I did binge watch all your episodes. So they watched all 3 of the YouTube videos and stopped there.
Oh, boy.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Yikes.
I hope not. So I guess I'm finding my place. I'm not well read, so I'm going to spitball here. How do you feel about accelerationism, making things worse in order to initiate the revolution? I feel like only capitalism in decay will wake up Western folks to how shit everything is, how unnatural and ugly our current way of living is.
It's
All right.
so fucking difficult to answer this
Ugh,
question.
I know,
The-
right? So this question is from our website, which if you go to pearlspod.com, it's a form on the front page. These get priority in answering. So anyway. All right. Accelerationism, go.
so there was a part. What was the last part of the question?
I feel like only capitalism in decay will wake up Western folk to how shit everything is, how unnatural and ugly our current way of living is.
So this is like a reoccurring thing that's happening, in which it's always, how are we going to wake up Western folk to the tragedies that are happening? So again, you're trying to target an audience specifically with your propaganda and your, what am I trying to say? With your agitation and education.
The white working
And that's the white working class. And again, like, I'm not trying to be, I think it's important to reach out to whoever you can. If you see an opening, a door open, so you can slide in that big
Slide
toe.
that Mormon.
I just want them to know, like, people of color, marginalized people, been new. Like, we understand that, like, shit's fucked. We have to face it every single day. So, I mean, I don't, and like the worst part of like, this is my take, I guess, and this is just from
official
right
Pearl
now.
standpoint.
No. But I don't think accelerationism is the way to do it, because so much is happening to us right now that if you add on like us going to worse, where we lose our homes or our family gets deported or some kind,
Right.
or police
It
continue
won't be
to
the
kill
white
us.
middle class that lose their homes first.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
Right.
And like, I don't know if you're willing to like shelter us, which I'm pretty sure some of you aren't going to be able to. It's just
Most
like
of us don't have the means to.
Yeah,
even if we wanted
exactly.
to. It's a silly. Yeah,
so it's a very dangerous line to wish like more ill so people will wake up. You should be able to do so through like how you speak and your actions and how humbling and empathetic you are rather than wishing the state get worse so that white people will be like, okay, this shit's
I mean,
up."
Finally, white people realize, like,
Yeah.
oh wow.
I think it is a lot easier to radicalize people the worse conditions are.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's
However-
not wrong. yeah.
However, I think conditions are going to worsen anyway.
On their own, yeah.
And if you are seen as a person who's like, yes, let's hasten this, no one is going to want to fucking talk to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
If you are like, I'm going to fight for you and your rights and your ability to live, and then things get worse, then people will look to you and be like, you're the person who stood with me on this issue, and you were the one who was trying to help me, even though all of these other people didn't or wouldn't.
Right.
It sucks. I mean, like, it sucks that things have to get bad before people are like, oh yeah, actually communism is rad. Like, it sucks that that's the way it is. But I don't think that the answer is actively making things worse for human beings, from a moral perspective and also from a practical one as well. Because again, I think capitalism will naturally decay in that way, and capitalism will naturally begin hurting more and more people as time goes on. As we mentioned before, it is only the existence of the Soviet Union which kept the U.S. in check.
Yeah.
And once they collapsed, well, I think it began when the Sino-Soviet split happened. Things began to get worse because no
Sad.
longer was there sort of this
Unified front.
against the U.S. But then once the Soviet Union collapsed, all bets were off. Like, the U.S. ran rampant at that point. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think basically we're anti-accelerationism here, because things are going to get bad on their
Anyway,
own,
yeah.
Right.
and
Yeah.
so
And as like a baby leftist, as this person admitted to being, it's understandable. I had
Sure.
those same thoughts when
Same.
I first came into leftism. But once you really start to internalize like anti-imperialism and decolonization and all of those kinds of things, really figure out where you are, who you are, and where you come from, then I don't think you can really justify those points anymore.
So our next question comes from Barcode Reader. What
This is in our
social?
Discord or what?
This is on Discord, yeah. What socialist icon / location would you most like to visit that you haven't already? I mean, I haven't visited any, so.
I have a picture in front of the Lenin statue in Fremont in Seattle.
Hell yeah.
So.
The one with the bloody hand.
Oh, they like paint his hands red every once in a while.
The red is the blood of the bourgeoisie.
Well, you would hope so, but the people who actually
No,
do
I
it are
know, I
fucking
know. They're
weirdos.
fucking
I don't really know
nerds.
what the actual purpose of it is. If they're like rich kids.
Wait,
in
so what is the
Fremont.
question?
I don't know.
What socialist icon or location would you most like to visit?
Oh, okay. And your answer was Fremont?
no,
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 you said
I've
you did.
I have taken a picture in front of a Lenin statue in Fremont in Seattle.
I would like
Um,
to visit that one. That'd be
It's
fun.
pretty cool.
It seems pretty. Yeah, a big statue of Lenin. Hell yeah.
Like high energy Lenin.
Oh yeah, the
Like,
highest energy.
He's in a real good stance, like going to fight the bourgeoisie.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, yeah.
It's like good posture.
I want to
like-
visit the one from the like basketball meme where
Wait, which one?
the Lenin statue with the
Oh,
where he's like, yeah.
yeah, hell
I'm
yeah.
joking. I don't know.
I
What
want to
is it?
find if the Paul Robeson statue
Yeah.
in Kazakhstan still exists.
Yeah, that'd be
or,
rad.
or maybe Kyrgyzstan. I don't remember. If the Paul Robeson like mountain thing still exists, I want to go see that. So
I've literally never thought about this question at all. I have no
well,
idea.
that's why they asked.
I don't even know what exists really.
Well, like,
Anything.
who would you want to go? Like, would you want to go see Lenin's body, like a statue
That
of
would be pretty
Kim
fucking
Kim Il Sung, or like what?
Yeah, I think going to the DPRK would be like the best version of like this. Yeah, like
They made statues of Fidel. I want to see those.
they have to have.
They gotta.
Or like go to Cuba and on like the side of those buildings you have the profiles of
Like Che.
yeah,
and
Che.
yeah, that would be
that'd
great.
be very cool. Or, like,
All right, so Comrade can get a job. Good work on getting work. He can't get a job for a while. will makeup and implants be banned in a communist society? Also, how do you change beauty standards to be less like, if not communist, then less messed up?
Nice.
Damn, I mean, this is a huge ass
That
question.
is
Yeah. So coming from, I hate always using background info, but like
No, let's go for it.
most of my like on my, especially on my mom's side, most of them did like beauty and they were like beauty school and stuff like that. So I come from very like, I don't know, like very strict, like they like to do their makeup and whatever. I grew up, I didn't really do that. And my process of coming out as non-binary was mostly through the form of like, I wasn't going to do makeup. I wasn't going to do my eyebrows. I wasn't going to do all sorts of things that would require you to become a woman or like some kind of ritual or whatever. However, around high school, I started to wear makeup, but as a point of like covering up, like acne scars, covering up whatever, because I just had a disdain for how I looked. And then I realized, like with most makeup people, like there was a community, and even though now it's pretty disgusting, like I wouldn't recommend trying to enter into that. But once you kind of do some form of makeup, like whether it be like eyeshadow or a lipstick or whatever, there's a beauty to it, and obviously, but there's like some kind of, it's like
Like an art?
yeah, it's like an art, in which I mean, makeup artists exist.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
But like you get to figure out what kind of features you have, and you can I guess display them and make it more pronounced than you usually would be allowed to. Like you can, like a lot of people is like narrow down their nose, but now there's like this movement going where you try to broaden it, like you make it look as it, I mean, not like just leave your nose as it is or make it look like it's not as skinny or try to contour it in an ugly way. I think it's I don't think makeup in itself is bad, and I think as we continue on, we'll see it more as an artistic tool, and there's a revolutionary tool as well. I think you could utilize makeup to help you like not be surveillance, like with
Yeah.
surveillance and stuff like that.
Oh,
that is
yeah.
a thing. Yeah,
Damn,
there's a
yeah.
way to confuse facial recognition software with makeup.
Yeah.
Damn, I hadn't thought about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so like, and people do that too with like clown, and then like especially like like cholas and stuff. Like they have like a distinct look that's very, I don't think is gonna go away for a very long time. Hopefully not. But I think makeup in itself isn't bad. It's just when you go through a process of decolonizing how you look and trying to love yourself for what it is, rather than trying to become Eurocentric or more white passing or whatever, it you can start to enjoy the features that you have rather than. And then for implants, I'm not sure as well. This one I've been trying to think of like really, and I don't think that's going to be realistic, but it might just be like it just transition with socialism. That's just like people want to do that, and they grew up in this kind of way, and that's what they've always wanted or whatever. So I assume like when communism comes around, I don't know, material, I don't see it like going away completely until people start to love themselves fully.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that to me that seems like I think the only answer you can give is that like these sorts of things about like appearance and like self-image and stuff, like it's not going to change until the material
Yeah.
conditions of society are like radically different. I mean,
Yeah.
it reminds me of when we were talking about the German Democratic Republic. I brought it up like in almost in passing near the end of the episode, but like there was, however you can measure this thing, they measured that people in the GDR, like women specifically in the GDR, had a much better like self-image because there was less advertising and less of this sort of idealized image that was created by capitalism to sell beauty products, basically.
So an interesting thing that was brought up in that Bad Mouse video that this video was released almost exactly the same time as
day.
our podcast was. He mentioned something that we didn't touch on, which was that I think 62% of men in Germany who had been in the GDR said that their sex life was better
Fuck.
following the transition, the unification.
Wow.
But the reason that they were happier in their relationships is that men now had more power than they did in the GDR, and women were more easily exploitable and therefore more easy to sleep with
Fuck.
following the collapse of the GDR.
Damn it.
So
Yeah.
I think
Not
a lot
shocked,
of
still disappointed.
right, a lot of that question is sort of hinging on the capitalist concepts of like gender roles and standards of beauty, and I don't think those will immediately go away following the revolution. I think that will probably stick in a lot of people's minds for a long, long, long time. How to dismantle that is a very difficult question, but I think giving power to people who are not white men, white cis men, would probably go a long way in just sort of undermining that.
And then
I mean, a lot of white gay men run the beauty.
That is true.
Oh,
Yeah, white
definitely.
gay men
Industry.
are.
So
Yeah, I don't know. It's complicated.
yeah.
It's fucking complicated. I've
Especially-
got no easy answers.
Oh, sorry.
No, no, no.
No, go for it.
Please.
But it's like, especially given that a lot of like makeup techniques that we have today, like baking, contouring, all these things come from drag culture, and it comes from like club kid culture, which you have queens doing their makeup with either baby powder or something to keep makeup down or to mattify the skin. So a lot of I've seen makeup as both like a hindrance to a person because you were trying to hide something and there's a purpose to that, like a mask that you're trying to create, but you're also but you also have like this kind of community based in which it's you're learning from each other, and then you're able to doll yourself up, or I don't want to say doll yourself up because that's also going gross, but you're I don't know, creating a different person of yourself so that you can like go out and kind of celebrate who you are as a person with the people that look similar to you
Yeah.
Sure.
and speak similar to you, and you don't have to hide anymore. Makeup became a way for them not to hide,
to
even
hide.
though
Well, and
that
for like
yeah.
trans women in particular, makeup is a big deal, and implants are a big deal for anyone who wants to transition
Exactly.
in that direction. So, getting rid of them altogether? Hell no. I think it's
No.
going to remain but like how it's applied and in
Right.
what context and
I mean, I think between the dropping of mass advertisement
Yes.
and a generation or two for those like standards to kind of die off, I think we'll
Right.
it'll go a long way.
hell yeah.
Definitely.
And so I want to finish with that last question because it's lighter, and I know what Justin's gonna say, and it makes me sad already. What is the worst movie you've ever seen? Asks Comrade Icepick, and then followed up by Comrade Can Get a Job. Again, asks, what is the worst movie you've ever seen besides Blade Runner?
No.
Which is an astonishing take,
That's
which
that
I think
is-
is bad.
That's
That is
fucking bullshit.
I mean,
Because that
I-
might be the best movie I've ever seen.
Oh,
so.
no.
stop.
No,
I mean, it's
Blade
definitely
Runner's
not.
good.
Fucking
It's not the
stop.
best movie I've ever seen, but it's good. Like
I
don't
think
even
Blade
think it's
Runner. I think
good.
Blade Runner is a highly
Okay.
overrated film.
Yeah.
However,
that's probably true, but I
to
still
say
think it's good. It's
what
well
is the
made.
worst movie
It's
you've
not
ever
the
seen
worst movie.
besides Blade Runner that's a hot ass
Martin.
take.
That's a hot take.
Fuck off.
Martin.
Martin self-crit.
Martin's gonna come back into this episode in like 10 minutes when we're done answering this
Yeah.
question in a surprise, like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse kind of way. I don't.
The worst
fuck.
movie I've ever seen.
Who's got an immediate answer to this?
For the worst movie, I mean, God, I've seen so many bad movies. Most movies are bad. Like, here's the thing. Most movies are
Let's
bad.
exclude B movies. So it's got to be like an
Like,
Yeah.
like a movie
I mean,
that
because-
was like intended
yeah.
to be made well, and then
Yes.
it just fucking sucks.
Because I love bad movies. Like
oh,
I
yeah,
love
no,
terrible
that's a
movies.
whole thing. Like, that's a whole separate thing. And,
Have
like,
you seen Birdemic?
That's
Yeah, no,
that's up there.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a-
Like,
Birdemic is a bad movie, but it's also a
Yeah.
great movie because
or like
you can
The
just like
Room. The Room
Yeah,
fucking
like,
sucks, but like it's a
exactly.
lot of fun to
Trolls
watch.
2.
Yeah, oh,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
No,
so
no,
those-
I think,
those
I
movies
think
don't
we should
count.
limit it
No.
to like
It's got to be something that was
like a
intended
big
to be
movie.
good,
It was
had
intended
a
to be
lot
good
of
and then
money.
just fucking sucks.
Yeah, money behind it.
All right, I'm trying to think. I mean, honestly, I mean, this feels really easy, but the first thing that came to my mind was like literally every single Transformers movie, which I saw most of
So
them.
many comic book and those kind of
I mean,
movies
I
are
saw
so
most of
bad.
those Transformers movies because I worked at a movie theater during most of the time they were coming out, and just
I heard that the new Bumblebee is actually pretty good.
you know what, fuck off.
That's what I heard.
Maybe
I'm just
you're right,
saying.
but like, fuck off still.
Not gonna watch it.
No, I mean, the Transformers. Did Michael Bay direct that one?
No.
So maybe it is good. That guy fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
he fucking sucks.
Oh, speaking of like big name directors, I'm gonna say Avatar.
Avatar was
Wow.
trash.
Like,
Avatar
Fuck
sucks.
James Cameron. Okay, so
Avatar
also
sucks.
fuck Titanic.
Aliens
Terminator
was good.
Terminator's cool.
Terminator
Aliens
was
is
good.
not because it fucking destroyed what Alien
Titanic-
was.
Oh, it's
Whack.
a different kind of movie. I think Aliens is
Avatar
still
Oh
was
my
okay.
god.
Avatar fucking sucks. Titanic
okay,
sucks.
I'm gonna say I can't choose a movie, but fuck James Cameron. I
Worst
fucking
director,
hate that
worst
guy.
big director,
God
for sure.
damn.
All right.
Terminator and Terminator 2, he did
Those are
both
pretty
those, right?
good.
Those
Yeah,
are
he
those
did.
are
Those are
okay.
pretty good.
He gets a pass on those, but everything else that guy's done, fuck him.
I think Aliens is okay.
Wrong.
Alien is much better, obviously. Anyway, God, yeah. I mean, so yeah, the fucking
This guy says this as though Roland Emmerich and Uwe Boll don't exist.
Well, I think you have to classify Uwe Boll's movies
Those,
with like the
those-
shitty ones,
those
right?
don't get the count because again
'Cause
they
they're the
exist in
shitty
like this
ones.
weird.
Okay. All right,
space
but
of-
Roland
Roland
Emmerich.
Emmerich, yeah, fuck.
10,000 BC. Holy
I never saw it.
shit.
Yeah, that's-
Holy
no.
fucking
Actually,
shit.
I loved that movie when I was little.
No.
I
When
mean,
I
how?
was little, when I was
Oh, okay.
2012 was trash.
There you go. Roland Emmerich.
Yeah,
Roland Emmerich.
Roland Emmerich. That shit was garbage.
Doesn't it
man
have
is-
John
That was
Cusack?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the lead.
So here's the thing: John Cusack, weird actor, plays in
Yeah.
some really great movies. Like
that's how
High
I feel
Fidelity?
about Keanu Reeves.
Oh yeah. High
Great
I
movie.
like
Fidelity.
Keanu Reeves.
High Fidelity is an awesome movie, but like
That's
Must Love
wild.
Dogs. What the fuck, dude?
Wait, what?
yeah,
Must Love
John
Dogs.
Cusack.
Oh,
High Fidelity, Must Love Dogs. Gross
Gross
Point
Point Blank, yep.
Great movie.
Yeah.
But like the dude like hits like again, Keanu Reeves does the same thing.
I love Keanu Reeves.
Matrix 1,
He does some shitty
pretty
ass
good
movies,
movie.
but like I
Matrix
like
2
him.
and 3, what the fuck?
Matrix 2 was okay. Matrix 3 was like shit tier. Like
That
it was
yeah.
it was legendarily bad.
Lord of the Rings, any of them.
Wow.
Wow, really?
That's a hot
That's a
take.
hot-ass
The
take.
Hobbit
Hot.
movies are garbage. I
Yeah.
will admit
Movies
that, but
were
like
garbage.
No.
all the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, damn dude.
Love them.
They're
I
so
think
good.
they're good,
I-
man.
I love the series too, like as a book series, but like the movie, awesome.
No.
They're still good.
Oh yeah.
dude.
No,
When
it's really good.
Yeah. When I was
Your-
little,
your
I
take
had,
is
like,
pass on
garbage.
that. Hard pass on
You-
that. I fell asleep halfway
I'm
through
sorry,
I
the
mean,
first
I did
movie.
too, but
That's
it's because
okay.
I was high.
He might have been with me at that point.
Yeah, we were. We got high and decided to go watch the Fellowship of the Ring.
It's so bad.
and
Lord of the Rings is terrible. Tolkien
what?
is terrible. Sorry.
wow. Okay.
Wow.
Sorry.
Get out-
Racist.
get out of my house.
Oh, I'm sorry. This
I mean, he
podcast
is racist.
apparently stands Star Wars, but doesn't like Lord of the Rings. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay.
George Lucas was anti-capitalist,
Okay, but-
and Tolkien was like a racist fuck. So
He was a reactionary for sure.
Yeah.
He was a monarchist. But anyway, so we used to get high and go to movies, which was it's a mixed bag. We went and watched 28 Days Later, and I like had to turn my head to the side and look through my fingers to
I
watch
took
the
E
movie.
and watched Kill Bill, and I wanted to vomit about halfway through the
Well,
movie.
as
It's too much motion.
like as though like looking out of the side of my eyes was gonna like keep it from being scary anymore. But
Me.
I was high as hell. And then we went and watched Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, and I fell asleep around the point at which they
Star Wars.
I fell asleep around the point they entered Lothlorien, and then woke up when they were at the falls of Raros. I don't know. I
So you
missed
lost,
that.
like,
I missed
45
that whole.
minutes there.
It was like 30 minutes,
Yeah.
but yeah.
They had like 20 minutes of them fucking camping. Like it was so fucking
It's
boring.
listen.
God
Fellowship
damn,
of the
that
Ring is a
movie was
good
trash.
movie.
Nope.
Man.
It was a
Fuck
good
off.
movie.
Fellowship of the
All
Ring
of them.
is the best of the trilogy.
No,
I-
Two
no.
Towers.
Two Towers.
No, no, no,
Two
no, no,
Towers.
no, no, no.
Solid.
Last
The
March
ex-
of the Ents. Last March of the Ents.
The
music, so
extended,
good.
If we're talking about director's cuts, the
We're
extended
not.
versions
We're
of
not
all of those,
talking about
we
director's
have
cuts.
to. Director's cuts of all three of those movies, which are like 4 hours versus 3.
I watched
Yes.
all of those in one day.
Yes,
one time,
I
and
know.
I hate it.
Fellowship is the best.
No.
Jesus.
It's Two
I'm so
Towers.
I don't
Sorry,
remember
no,
it. I had
no.
to dissociate.
No.
No,
You
uh,
split the party.
No, in terms of worst like big like movies that people like that I've ever seen. Oh fuck, I just forgot.
That was a wind up to
It was
nothing.
gonna be a hot take. Hold on, when I remember it.
Like
Yeah,
just like one of
yeah,
those big
big.
like softball wind ups and then just straight into the dirt.
I feel like the hot take was
Wow,
already
me.
Justin just shitting on Lord of the
Yeah,
Rings.
that was a
That's
hot-ass
wild. I can't handle this, Justin.
I just don't get it. Like, oh! Star Wars sucks
Oh,
so
get outta
hard.
here.
Fuck off!
You died.
Get out of here.
Fuck
Star Wars
off.
is good.
Jesus Christ.
Taylor
The
dies.
original trilogy and the sequel trilogy.
Surrounded by
They're good.
nerds.
Yeah.
I'm
Last
surrounded
Jedi
by
was good.
nerds.
Yeah.
Last Jedi was very good.
Battle
Yes,
of the
it
white
was.
people.
The Battle of
Yes.
the White People. This is why a white crime.
No, so wait, what was yours? What was yours? White on white crime.
God, I don't know. 10,000 BC was fucking terrible.
Damn.
Holy shit, that was
I
a bad
felt
movie.
So bad because I love
You love it?
I used to love
Oh.
it. Maybe I still do. Who knows?
Christ.
I'm not saying anything.
I don't know. That's tough.
What
What was
about
yours,
what?
Taylor?
What
Well, James Cameron. Yeah.
James
okay.
Cameron. But what about like Judd Apatow? Like people
Mm.
love
Man, that
his
shit
movies, and I'm
sucks.
just like,
I fucking hate that
"Eh,
shit."
They're pretty.
What's one of his
fucking-
movies?
Knocked Up.
Oh fuck. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
Pineapple
like,
Paul,
those-
Express.
Paul was one of the worst movies
Paul, what
I have
the
ever
fuck
seen.
is
That's the
that?
one with the,
The
alien.
alien?
The
It's
alien.
so
It was
bad.
pretty
That was
bad.
Whoa.
fucking
Oh, is
terrible.
that different from Ted?
Yes.
Wait,
Well,
Ted was the teddy
especially-
bear.
was the
Ted,
bear.
Fuck.
Ted was not Judd Apatow though. That was
Seth
that-
MacFarlane.
Oh,
MacFarlane.
So,
fuck
but
that
like
guy.
No, I
Paul,
hate
Paul was extremely disappointing because it came after the finishing of the Cornetto trilogy.
right.
The what trilogy?
Cornetto,
Cornetto.
Edgar Wright with Nick
Oh,
Frost
oh, oh,
and
yeah,
Simon
yeah.
Pegg, which is a great trilogy the whole way through. Like it's awesome.
The last one was okay.
It was
the
yeah, okay, so,
the, whatever the end.
the World's
end
End.
of World's End. Yeah.
Yeah,
World's
that
End.
was
was
okay.
okay.
Yeah, that was okay. But again, Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead are fantastic movies.
Another hot take: most of the Tarantino movies are garbage.
I'm not
a
gonna
lot of them
defend
are.
him. Pulp
A lot of
Fiction's
them are.
okay.
Pulp
Like
Fiction
I
is
enjoy a lot of
not
Pulp
good.
Fiction.
Reservoir Dogs was pretty good.
Reservoir. I enjoy
Reservoir
a lot of
Dogs is
Reservoir
great.
Dogs, but like I'm not gonna defend Quentin Tarantino. Like
No.
he's a white guy who loves saying the N word,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm not gonna defend
Directors that are fantastic.
Oh, I remember.
Coen Brothers.
Wait, good?
I,
Yeah.
Oh, I love them.
Okay, here
Do
bad
we-
movies. All of Christopher Nolan shit.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
Dark Knight.
fuck
Fuck the Dark
him.
Knight.
Fuck the Dark Knight for sure.
Fuck
I,
the Dark
I-
Knight
I thought I would
Rises.
never. I thought I would never agree with Ethan on anything related to theater and movies. But no,
Here we
that's
are.
not
Fuck
true.
the Dark
Because
Knight.
we agree on Star Wars.
Yeah.
But
Fuck the Dark
but no,
Knight.
because literally though, Christopher Nolan's movies are not that good. Like Memento was like
Memento was
wow
okay.
in
It
like
was
the
okay,
90s.
but it was
Then
all
you're
it
like-
was
then
all
you're
the
like,
shtick. If you
hmm.
take the shtick away,
Then it's
like
yeah, it's like yeah. Anyway, but like, what else has he fucking done? The Dark Knight, garbage.
The Dark
like
Knight is
literally
honestly
garbage.
bad.
It is a bad movie.
I haven't
It was.
watched it since I was like since it
It's
came
not
out.
It was
good.
the only good thing about that was the performance of what's his name
Ledger?
Heath Ledger.
yeah, no, he did a good job as the Joker, but
Fantastic.
like
The movie was shit.
it's bad,
It
and
was
people have
shit.
said it's fascist. I agree.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's not good.
And then The Dark Knight Rises was somehow
Well,
even worse.
Our
Knight
comrades,
Rises was
over at the Left Media podcast already covered this. And
Oh, did they
did
do
a
an episode on Dark Knight
pretty-
Rises?
They did a pretty good. No, they did.
Oh,
They
Dark
did
Knight.
episodes on the whole thing. I'm
Oh
pretty sure.
man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I enjoyed
whole
Batman.
trilogy.
I haven't
Batman
seen
Begins
Batman
was the best.
I
of that.
haven't seen it since I was like in high school, and I loved it then. But like I think it's
I
bad.
got real
It's
probably.
bored with like the him as a teen. I was like, oh,
It's
Batman.
it's got Joffrey as a child though. Joffrey is a child
that
in
guy.
Batman Begins.
Also,
Wait, is he the kid?
He's the
in-
kid that he saves.
No
Yeah,
way.
it's like
Holy
little baby
shit.
Joffrey.
Holy shit.
well, okay. So here's the thing: is like, is there a Batman that's not shitty? Because like the
Batman as
concept
a
of-
character sucks.
Right. So okay, cool. Nolan made these fucking Batman movies that were like, "Whoa, yeah, people, it's so cool." Fucking
The Burton
yeah.
Batman's like as a film is like not terrible. The
what?
89,
Which one?
89
The Burton
Batman,
one?
Tim Burton
Oh.
with Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
It's it's okay. It's
But-
okay.
But here's the
But
thing:
like Batman
is
as a character sucks.
Batman as a character sucks, but Nolan as a director again sucks. Memento, not that great.
The Prestige was okay.
The Prestige
The
was
Prestige
yeah,
was-
Prestige was
okay.
actually
I
good.
like the-
I
I'm a
enjoyed
stan
the Prestige,
Prestige.
actually.
Think about fucking Inception.
Inception blows.
Inception
yes, yeah.
fucking sucks.
Bwong.
Yeah, yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, no.
And then
I-
they
Interstellar was like
I actually
a
enjoyed that
very.
one.
It was
Love
not
is a
actually
Force.
terrible. It was not terrible, but it wasn't like
So
No,
what
no,
we've
no.
agreed
Mind-blowing.
upon tonight is that The Prestige is Christopher Nolan's
Prestige
best
is
movie.
best. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, hands down.
Official
I didn't
Pearls
even
Pod
know it
stance.
was his movie.
I completely
so-
forgot that Interstellar was his too. And I want you to, when you're saying Interstellar is kind of okay, think about this.
Oh, here we go.
No.
Just think
Uh,
about it.
Matthew McConaughey speaking through like rays of light to Murph. Murph.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I cannot believe you're making me defend Interstellar. Here's what's happening with Interstellar: is it is a
I love
materialist.
you, Murph.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing: we can't
Time-
use nuclear weapons.
Time is a flat. Time is a flat circle. Time is a flat circle.
I think he did it. I think McConaughey did a good job in Interstellar.
No, he did with what he
I
was
cried
given.
so much when he's watching the video of his daughter.
I love
I
you,
cried so
Murph.
many times.
Matthew McConaughey found his way back into existence because of love.
Yeah.
Come on. That's
I am,
so
listen,
cheesy.
no, he is. It's a
listen.
materialist
He
take
flew-
on like the
No,
power of love.
Listen,
You-
okay. So my physics professor, he comes in and he's like, I just want you all to know I watched Interstellar. I'm like, oh boy,
Oh boy.
go off. And then he goes,
Go off,
and
King.
then Tim goes, he's like, yeah, so love isn't a force, and I'm gonna prove it now. We spent a whole class just proving that love was a
That
force.
sounds like something a man would do.
What if love was a
Mad.
force, though?
But like
What if love was a
love
force?
love is a
Care Bears.
force, I
We've
guess.
already established love as a battlefield, so
Yeah.
Look,
But
So
it's a,
therefore
you're
it's
not
like, it's a
gonna fly through
materialist
a
thing.
black
It's a
hole.
battlefield. It's a magnetic
finding
field.
your
it's
way.
I love you, Murph.
Yeah, that's literally.
Here's the thing. I'm not gonna like. I can't believe you're making me defend Interstellar, but like, I think it was like no. Here's the thing though. Christopher Nolan's whole thing is like weird, like materialist, like not in like a good way, but just like a completely like if you look at The Prestige, the whole thing about The Prestige is like magic doesn't fucking exist. We're just doing it to make like we're fooling people, and that's his idea.
but that was like that was the first time in a movie that I sort of like woke up to realize the fact that if you teleported someone, their old self would still exist. In
Yeah,
the, in
that's
the,
why
and I was like,
teleporters in Star Trek
oh,
bullshit.
Wait a second.
It's not you.
Yeah.
If you teleport, it's not you.
Shout out to China Mayville and Kraken, which
Oh,
approaches
I haven't read that one.
approaches this subject really well with teleportation and like the killing of oneself.
What was
China-
the,
Awesome
what was
China
the
Mayville-
year that came out?
recently
Mayville?
in the
No,
2000s.
No, Kraken was.
Kraken
I think
was
like,
it was like 2005.
yeah,
it was
okay,
in the
yeah, yeah.
2000s.
No, it was
No,
in the
China
yeah,
Mayville,
mid-2000s.
like China Mayville, he's a trot. Don't read his like read his fiction. It's very good.
Oh,
don't
his
read.
fiction's
Don't like
awesome.
October is all about like Stalin's stupid and Trotsky's really
Kraken
cool.
is one of my favorite like sci-fi fantasy
very good.
books.
He's very good
of
at fiction.
the
Alright,
No, it
newest-
did not come out till 2010, which actually means that I read a shitty sci-fi series that Justin gave me
Which one?
called The Reality Dysfunction, which dealt with this before China Mayville. So China Mayville might have stolen it.
I mean, it's a common topic.
Yeah,
they were
it
talking
is.
about it in Star
But,
Trek.
but no, there was
no,
a,
they
there was
actually didn't
a
address that in Star Trek. Anyway, all right.
no, they didn't.
Okay, so here's the thing. So I think
Hey,
we-
so
I
movies
think
suck.
the-
Stop watching
all
them.
films suck unless they come from the DPRK or the ones made by Sergei Eisenstein.
I just referenced The Reality Dysfunction and you missed it.
You called it shitty though. So
I
fuck
did.
you.
It was not good.
All right.
I mean, it was good,
Okay.
but not good. It was
All right.
bad, but also all right.
So,
I don't know.
all right. So that
was a mixed bag.
we've prompted
s-
more.
We've
like,
agreed that film sucks. Stop
we've-
watching
like
movies.
people like we've the people at this table have gotten more riled up about bad films than any of the other topics we've talked about.
No, I wanted to die and murder.
No, that's
after-
true. The George Will
George
article
Will
was
article,
also
so.
this bad. But anyway, so I think that's gonna do it for tonight. Like,
Wait,
we've-
no, we gotta eat.
Oh
We've
fuck!
gotta
Oh,
eat.
shit,
Jeremy's
hang
gonna
on.
give us some.
So,
right, tell us
uh,
what's going on.
So, Comrade can get a job in our Discord. Is from the Netherlands, and he recommended some salted licorice, which is a weird fucking thing. And I happen to
I'm so stressed.
I happen to get a hold of some.
It's just double salt on the back.
It's double
what the
salt.
fuck?
Yeah, no. I didn't fuck around. I'm not fucking around with single salt. I want double salt. So I'm gonna give everybody a tab
Oh,
of
no.
Tab.
salted
Tabs.
licorice.
They
Taking
are little
commu-
small,
communion.
like they're little small circles, about 3/4 of an inch wide.
That says
Um,
O's.
They say DZ.
They say O's.
Mine says
Wait.
DZ.
Oh
Do
shit!
you-
I mean,
do
it
you
does
want,
say
Easy.
Oh,
So we're going to sample this for the first time in real
Live
time,
on microphone.
live on microphone, not live because this is being recorded and then edited and then mixed and then uploaded.
but
Is
it's
anything-
live for us.
Sure.
While it's happening.
So yeah, everybody just
All
go
right.
ahead and
I'm-
Pop it
3,
in.
2,
1.
1. Eat.
Oh no! No.
Aw.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
As we're already out.
I'm
Very
already
tasty.
not good. I'm keeping going, but I don't like it.
It's
That is the
It's
Oh.
way saltier than I expected, but
It's,
Oh,
I
yeah.
it's
love
like
it.
double salt.
it's double
I
salt.
want a single salt licorice.
No, you can't fuck around with that. You gotta.
It's like a salt gummy.
That is that was just god awful. I don't know why.
It's
I don't like it.
like I somehow don't, but also I want to keep eating these things.
Coming from somebody that uses beer salt, this is acceptable.
I had to tap out. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
took it out of my
coward.
mouth. I am. It's too salty for me.
It's very salty, but it's good.
Instant
Wow.
heartburn.
It
And then there were 3.
it sort of reminds me of like when you clean your cat's litter box.
what?
Gross.
And you like inhale and it burns. It's
That's
that
that's
ammonia.
a real feeling.
that
yeah.
ammonia smell.
Oh.
The best kind of feeling.
Which I don't know
So
what it
that's
says
what-
about me that I want to keep eating these things. So
Yeah, I'm really
Fucking freak.
yeah, but that's ammonia is what it reminds me of.
Wow.
Wow. Well,
Fellas,
thank you,
Taylor, Justin, what do you think?
I like it.
That's pretty good.
I think single salt would be like I could like just throw these back one after the other, but like a double salt.
I could finish it if it was single salt, probably.
Double salt is like I'll have one a day, just like this is delightful.
I bought
vitamin.
this bag like a couple weeks ago, and I ate like half of it before I brought
Is
it in here.
Gus-
So
Gustav's Dutch
So we're
licorice?
eating stale ass.
you're getting no. I've kept it wrapped up.
It
I've
was,
kept
it
it
was
sealed for
soft.
freshness.
It was
Yeah.
soft.
Jesus.
I don't think that was
What kind of
No.
animal do you think I
that
am?
wasn't the problem with it.
I enjoy it. I really do.
Wow.
I
yeah.
can't. I literally cannot
did
stop eating
not-
these things.
I also was not a huge fan. I couldn't finish
yeah.
it.
The aftertaste is great. It's like lingering, and I'm like I want to go back.
You want another one?
Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
Taylor, I'm gonna give you
my
another one.
God.
yeah. Thank you.
Jesus Christ.
Mm.
No,
Damn
do
it.
the ace.
At least 3 of us are not revisionists.
Oh.
So
I'm
you're
sorry that
gonna-
I know of more.
gonna go ahead and take
more
another
You're
one.
gonna
seasonings
talk
than
about-
salt.
Your salt, like your salt intake, is the standard for revisionism. So thank you all for listening to Dialectics After Dark. This is February. It's going to be coming out somewhere around the middle of February. But yeah, we do these every month. If you're listening, well, I was going to say if you don't,
It is the middle of February.
well, that's when we're recording it. But who knows how long it'll take me to edit? No, what I was going to say is like if you don't listen to these, you should subscribe. But by listening to this, you obviously are a patron. So anyway. So thank you to all of our patrons. We basically every time we do this, we're just like, we can't believe how many people are supporting us for doing a Marxist Leninist podcast where we all sit here and like make stupid jokes around the immortal science. But seriously, thank you all so much. For listening and for supporting us, and we're gonna keep doing this. We have big things planned in the future, and we hope you're there along with us along the way. So yeah, thanks everybody. Solidarity forever.
Solidarity forever.
Bye bye.
Death to America.
Bye.
Didn't get one of those in. Death to
You just
America.
did. You just did.
There we
Alright.
go.
Hit that motherfucking stop button.